Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is Steve coming back with another video. So this video is just kind of another video to let you know that the machine project is coming tomorrow. That actually would end up being tonight because we're actually already in another day. But it's going to be Friday evening at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So go ahead and mark that on your calendars. We're going to get started. And the first session we're going to be doing, which I'll go over in this video, is just creating a sprite, getting the animation set up. I started putting together a little Word project that'll kind of help us guide us step by step. And I'm using a website that I found for a guy that had already designed a game. It's called the Bare Essentials as kind of a guide. So let's get started with that. Also, real quickly here, before we get started, I wanted to show you that I have already set up the actual Google Hangouts. So it's currently offline here, so I'm hoping I did this right and you guys will get the notifications. If not, at 10 o'clock Mountain Standard Time tomorrow, I will go ahead and send that out to everybody and show you where to go to get this started. Okay, and I'm going to show you next here a game that we're actually going to be modeling after, the one that I thought was kind of similar for Cavern Adventure. It's right here. I'll turn down the music there a little bit. It's called Spelunker. It was made popular by a lot of different Atari and Commodore 64, Apple computers. It was really a really fun game back in the days, and I think it's a really good idea to really kind of come up with something. And you can kind of see it's got jumping ability. We can kind of rule out the scrolling for now because that's a little bit more advanced. But we'll just set up simple screens of being able to jump and detect background collision detection. And we're going to be learning all this stuff as we go along here. So we'll start with the sprites and stuff like that, and we'll kind of just, emulate it as we go forward from there. Of course, we'll develop the background characters like the ladders and the ropes and stuff like that. It's a very simple game, so we don't really have to get into a lot of heavy design, but we could later really enhance the graphics. But I think it'd be kind of cool, just setting up a simple little, I think it's a pretty good, simple game to start with, and it's a fun game. And we'll come up and see what kind of version we can come up with on our own. Okay. So the next thing is, somebody mentioned this, and the Highlander is actually modeled a game after this. I believe this was the one he was using. I haven't really gone through this. I mean, I went through this once before, but I haven't gone through this recently. But it's a game guide for a guy who's building a complete game in machine language or semi-language for the Commodore 64. So we could probably check that out. Along the way, we won't need it right away because we're just going to be building the sprites at first. But as we come into it more, I think I could probably, look into this a little bit more and start adding to it and try to implement some of the routines into our actual simulation or our game. What's really cool about this too is that he actually includes like the screenshots or examples for like the graphics, and I think it's at the end down here, yeah, where you can download the whole thing. And I think we might be able to see some of the source code and stuff like that. So that'd be interesting. But here's the one I'm modeling after right now. It's called the Bare Essentials. Now this has this is actually page 2. Page 1 he talks more about his idea of getting started in the semi-language, so I kind of skipped over that section. But here's where he gets into the game design, because he kind of rebooted it right here anyway. And I started writing a little document on this that will go over it, but he recommended to use really cool Jim Butterfield's machine language book for machine language to get started in machine language. I think that's a good idea, and then he also recommended trying to find a game and play it, which I thought the Spelunker was kind of good for our example. I mean, that could change as we go along, but I really like Spelunker a lot, Spelunker, whatever you call it. And then we'll go over this here in just a minute, but he says after you get the sprite on the screen, you want to set like a position, a character on the screen, and kind of mark its position to where the sprite is, and kind of figure out where that sprite is in relativity to that actual object or that square background character on the screen, so we can kind of figure out background collision detection and all that kind of stuff. That'll come along as we go along. And then I'll break it down here later, but basically these walls and everything around here, they're going to be set to individual numbers. We're going to mark our PET-XE characters with numbers so we can determine whether we're going to have a moving platform or, maybe something similar to whatever Spelunker has going on here. I don't know if they have anything, maybe explosion or something like that would mark a certain object and stuff like that. Basically, there's actions that will be taken on specific objects and stuff like that, which is what we'll be doing later. And well, eventually, this is where I was talking about right here. So you set the characters in a range, like he has, for example, 154 to 191 for semi-solid platforms that can be stood up, but they can't. But you can jump on. So kind of like what he's standing on right now would probably be a 154 through 191. And then these are some of the animation frames. Of course, we're going to make our own character. We don't want to copy somebody else's work, but this is a great idea to copy off this because it's a step-by-step guide into its completion until he finishes it and shows you the code and stuff like that. So I think that's a really good way to start. And I think I actually talked to this guy in Lemon64, and he's really cool and everything. And so I think he has a really nice, I mean, if you look at this picture right here, I can click on it there. You can see that's his finished project there. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. And getting back to what I've been doing here, as I told you, I've been working on it. So this is what I've come up with so far is a Word document guide here. Slow you a little bit there. I just called it Building a Simulation Game. And I put the URL for the actual project for the bare essentials. And I kind of wrote down and kind of walked through his steps here, step by step, and I just created steps on them. For the first thing is creating the sprites, and of course this will be the animations and all that, and the enemies and the objects in the game that will be all. So we'll have everything accounted for, or at least everything that we can think of that the game will have an accounting for. Like in Spelunker, we'll have the ladders, we'll have the background characters, we'll have the enemies, whether you have, you know, animals or whatever it has in the game here, chasing you and stuff like that. Might have bats or whatever. But that's what we're going to do in regard to that. And then, as I mentioned here, we'll determine the sprite collision detection with the background characters, which will determine, once again, where that sprite sits in relation to those, those graphics on the screen here. Let's go back to screen here. What we just saw here earlier. And this one depicts how far the sprite is in relative to this actual square on the screen. And he shows the calculations up here at the top here, and we can kind of look at that and kind of learn from it. And it might have the code here somewhere too. I don't know if he put it down here at the bottom or not, but I think it's a really good guide. It might be on the front page. I know I saw the code here somewhere. It might have been on the front page, but a really good guide he has for the game. And back to our little document here. Then we'll test characters around the sprite. This is what I was talking about, having the characters represent whether it's a solid block, something's moving, or whatever it indicates. If it's a ladder, you can climb up and down it. And then we'll add gravity, kind of determine if he walks off that character. Once we have it detected, he'll be able to fall off, you know. So he hits another object, of course, and he stops again. And then later, I like to add jumping ability to sprite, so we'll basically kind of decrease his Y position, which is basically moving him up and down or vertically. And we won't need to do like the horizontally since the gravity will take care of that anyway. And as far as I got right now is setting the character number and comparisons for the actions involved. This basically is where we're, it's kind of what I was talking about, what these characters are going to do and what their actions are going to signify and stuff like in the game. So I think that's a kind of a good guide to get started. Just tomorrow, even if you miss tomorrow night, I hope you make it. But even if you miss tomorrow night, don't feel like left out or anything, because we're just going to be basically building the sprite, the animations, the graphics. You'll miss out on that kind of thing, but of course you can watch the video, but you won't, you know, be there and be involved with all of us. So I hope you guys can make it. That's pretty much really why I wanted to leave the video. I don't really have much else for this. We'll just keep it a short video here. But I think this is a great guide to go through, you know, and just kind of just learn from this step-by-step project. And you just see he has such an amazing game he created here. And it's real simple. It doesn't involve, you know, like any fine scrolling, you know, full screen scrolling and all of that. And just some simplicity is what I really wanted. I wanted something simple. That way we can find something we can actually finish instead of trying to make something so complex. Because as the old saying goes, you don't want to fall into feature creep, or if you add too many things, you start ignoring other things. Rather, we want to create one task at a time, complete it, move on to the next one. That's why I put the steps. We'll complete step 1. Whether it takes, you know, 1 week or 2 weeks, I don't know. But we'll wait till that's done. Then we move on to the next step, and then the next step, and I'll keep modeling after this guide. And of course, we'll try to, you know, model after the guide over here too as well. Because this is also a simple design. It doesn't involve any, you know, fine scrolling or anything. So I think that's a good way for us to get started. I think that's a pretty good, you know, perspective to have on things. And yeah. So anyways, guys, that's all I was going to have for this video. I didn't really want to make a long video. This is just real to get the point across. Shorter video, more people will watch it. So to get out there tomorrow night at 10 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, that's here in Arizona, and whatever your time is, you want to make sure you take that in consideration, whether you're central or you're whether you're over the seas or wherever you are, and then kind of make us line up here. We're going to meet online in Google Hangouts. I have a Google Hangouts and I'll have that scheduled together so we can start implementing and putting this thing together using CBM PRG Studio for now. Although someone else did recommend another tool. We'll probably look at that later here. But we'll kind of just play it by ear and just go along. I think a lot of people are familiar with CBM PRG Studio, so that'd be a great way just to kind of get started. So, yeah, guys, I'll leave this at 10 minutes. I just want to say thanks for watching. Please like, favorite, subscribe. As always, I really appreciate your subscriptions, everything. I've seen kind of a sudden growth in this channel, and I really, really want to appreciate you guys for that. I think we could really get this thing moving and off the ground. Also, if you haven't checked out my website, go ahead and check it out. I got it working on that new test drive game review up there. So if you want to check that out, I'll throw the link in here for you or whatever. And yeah, we'll move this forward. And thanks for watching, guys. And let's keep moving forward.